July 20th, 2017, Chester Bennington of Linkin Park was dead via suicide. This completely unexpected event left a lot of us very confused. It was difficult to process. A lot of us were going through a sense of loss and confusion. Something I've just never really felt this intensely with a celebrity before. Of course, there have been past things that made me very sad. The closest to this one is probably Christina Grimmie, which there's a lot of reasons, like, and more personal reasons to me why that was such a big deal, reasons I don't really want to get into, but I saw a reaction when Chester passed away that I feel like I've never really seen, like, universally worldwide with a celebrity passing. There was just something different about this. When this story broke out, it blew up all over on social media. I was seeing things not just from these big time fans, but seeing things from my colleagues, my coworkers, my friends on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and stuff, just saying how this was a terrible day in their life, how they were just going through something and that they couldn't believe someone was gone. They're hoping someone would just wake them up, like this has to be a dream. All day seeing dedications and covers.
And this is one of his favorite songs. I want to dedicate it to him. Chester, we will fucking miss you.
That, but in light of the very, very, very tragic news yesterday about Chester from Linkin Park.
And some comments from other musicians and stuff that weren't just the typical, oh, where our thoughts and prayers are with the family. There was some real anger and frustration with this. Like, some people were going through some really hard stuff with this. Even down to the official statement from Linkin Park. It wasn't just a generic, our thoughts and prayers, blah, blah, blah. They put real thought into this. It took them about 5 days to come up with an official statement, and what a statement it was. And even changing Facebook, they having filters for your Facebook profile picture. It was just an insane, it was a very intense reaction worldwide. I say worldwide because it wasn't just here. Right now at my job, we have transfer work students from China and the Philippines, and they were telling me how in China this is a big deal too, and I know a lot of my friends from the Philippines were heartbroken. They were devastated when this news broke out. So this isn't just here. This is like a worldwide mourning process that we are all going through. These aren't people that are necessarily obsessed with celebrities and stuff like that. They're just your normal, average adults going to like their day-to-day work life, and suddenly it's like their world's turned upside down over, well, not their world's upside down, maybe not that, but they're going through something. It's been a process for them, and I just want to touch on and cover why. We see celebrities pass all the time, and due to very sad circumstances. You know, Robin Williams is very sad. Carrie Fisher touched a lot of people, but there was just something about this that felt different to me. I know it felt different to other people. I know that we lost a lot of people in 2016, but I know a lot of people who this hit a million times harder, losing this one person as opposed to all those people in 2016. So I just kind of want to touch on like what made his death different. Why is this so much more difficult to process for us than the rest of the deaths that we saw throughout 2016 and the rest of the year? So hopefully you'll enjoy this. Hopefully this will make sense for you if you're kind of going through a sense of loss and hopelessness since this news and passing. So I think one of the first things, and probably most obvious things, is the nostalgia factor. Linkin Park was a big part of a lot of our childhoods. For a lot of us, it was the first band that we were into, or the first big rock band that we were into. They were very different, very influential for their time. They have spawned a lot of artists and music. I know, like, when I'm reading through the Facebook comments and stuff, it's like, oh, this was the first CD I had, this was the first band I was obsessed with, or I Prevail on their Twitter, there would be no I Prevail wasn't for Linkin Park. Boy in a Band, you know, YouTubers and stuff saying, you know, Linkin Park is what influenced us, the reason we got into music, this is the reason I picked up a guitar. So there was definitely something very big and personal about their music that it shaped a lot of our interests and what we were into and the paths we took in life, so that's kind of a big deal. So you take the nostalgia factor. Nostalgia factor is a big deal in a lot of ways when it comes to movies and media and stuff like that, but it is so powerful when it comes to music. There is a reason that every single generation thinks that the new generation's music sucks. lifestyle in some ways. Maybe music's getting worse. It just can't be that every single generation, new generation's music sucks. It's because we are, as a people, we are extremely tied to the music that we grew up with, that we first listened to during our youth and our teen years. So you take something that is already going to be a special place in your heart, music during a certain time, and you use that, you apply that to something that shaped so many people's like past and careers and stuff in life, because that's the reason that they took up music and stuff, and that's something very powerful. Another thing that I think makes this also so hard is the content and context and everything of the music. Music is a very powerful tool. For a lot of us, we use music as a healing process. I think there's probably very few people in this world that haven't used music to help them get through even something as small as like a high school breakup. We use music to heal ourselves. So, and a lot of Linkin Park's music dealt with some very heavy-handed topics, just hopelessness, despair, grief, self-hatred, but there was always like a sense of hope and like getting through it. So when you take, music is so powerful with healing, so when you take the fact that it's powerful with healing anyway, and it's dealing with these certain subjects that are really intense, and it's helping a lot of people get through like the worst time in their lives, their traumas, their friends' suicide, their issues with depression and their suicidal thoughts and stuff like that. When you take that and then you mix that now with the fact that not only is the lead singer dead, he killed himself. It takes all of these songs and everything that you use to heal and get better and try to move on from things, and now instead of them providing music to help us heal, it was almost like a cry for help. Now all those songs just kind of seem like one long suicide note from him and him asking for help, and you realize, okay, he's not necessarily singing this out to us, he was singing this for himself. Like, this is what he was feeling, like he's the one who needed to get this out because this is what he was feeling. So I think it just takes some really intense subject matter and stuff and makes it so, I don't know, it just changes it. So for example, there is a song called Easier to Run, which is kind of talking about like it's easier to run away from your demons and try to run away from the future so there isn't a past, like just trying to avoid dealing with the skeletons in your closet than actually like facing them head on. But if you take those lyrics now, knowing that he committed suicide and that he had dealt with things like child sexual abuse and trauma and things like that, and just see how differently this song sounds and how intense this is, knowing that the person who sung these lyrics is dead via suicide. Something has been taken from deep inside of me, the secret I've kept locked away, no one can ever see. Wounds so deep, they never show, they never go away. Like moving pictures in my head, for years and years they played. Sometimes I remember the darkness of my past, bringing back these memories I wish I didn't have. Sometimes I think of letting go and never looking back, and never moving forward so there'd never be a past. Like moving pictures in my head, for years and years they played. I mean, I think anybody who's been through any kind of traumatic event or had something bad happen to them can relate a lot to that. When they're like moving pictures in your head, like that's what it is when you've been through something. It plays in your head on repeat, like just so that knowing that he was actually going through that, it wasn't just something to us, he was personally going through that makes that song so much sadder, in my opinion. I think another reason this hit people so hard is this was completely out of left field. Like this was a shock to a lot of people. There wasn't any indication that this was going to lead up, like this was going to be the end of his story. There weren't a whole load of scandals or dramas that plaguing around the band. Even if there was, it wasn't well known worldwide. They kept it pretty quiet. They had recently been doing a lot. I felt like I was seeing their name everywhere. They were doing a lot to come back. They were getting really active with the YouTube community, with Good Mythical Morning, Boy in a Band, Fine Bros. They were doing a lot to make a comeback. I was feeling like seeing their names everywhere, and they all seemed so like healthy and happy. There was like no indication here that this was coming. So those are some of the reasons why I think that this was so difficult for a lot of us, why it felt so much more personal, because Linkin Park was a huge part of a lot of our lives. Even if you didn't like them through all their transitions and all their different genres and everything, Hybrid Theory and Meteora were a big deal to a lot of us. So those are some of the reasons why I think this has been such a difficult process for a lot of us. I wish I had something kind of more positive to end on to kind of turn this video around and stuff, but I don't really have anything right now. This is kind of how I feel about a lot of stuff. I feel such a sense of sadness and loss when I hear, I'm still seeing them all over my newsfeed, all over my Instagram and everything, and anytime I see their face or video, I'm like, just get out. It's very hard for me to look at their name and hear their music right now, so I don't really know how to make a positive spin out of this, so I hope that you got something out of this video. I hope if you are struggling with something, this kind of made sense as to why you're struggling, and if you are struggling with any kind of like depression or suicide or anything like that, please don't hesitate to get help, and don't wait until it spirals into something that out of you can't control. So at the end of this video, I'm going to leave a hotline for National Suicide Prevention. Like, don't hesitate to get help if you are really struggling with something. There is no shame in it. If somebody like Chester can get to such a low point, there's no reason why the rest of us couldn't either. Nobody is invulnerable to this. Alright, so that's pretty much it. So I hope that you are all doing okay, and I hope you guys just have a great rest of your